Tonight, we're diving into a story where the past isn't just recorded, it's still roaming the halls. Welcome back to The Common Historian, where history meets the supernatural. I'm Jeremy, and tonight I'm joined by Tracy Murphy, the executive director of the Historic Palmyra in Palmyra, New York, one of the most haunted locations in New York State. The Historic Palmyra manages five museums where authentic Erie Canal era history collides with documented paranormal activity. Sibyl Phelps, the spiritualist musician who created spirit portals and now guards her possessions from beyond. The Breeden children, whose tragic deaths in 1964's fire now manifest as eternal childhood play. Over 4,000 ghost hunters have investigated these museums, and surveillance cameras have captured unexplained phenomenon. So grab your favorite beverage, dim the lights, and prepare to journey into the world where history refuses to stay buried. Tracy, welcome to The Common Historian.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Can you tell me a little bit about your role as the executive director and how you came to work with these five historic museums at the Historic Palmyra?
Sure. Historic Palmyra owns and operates five museums in Palmyra. Four of them are actually on one street, on Market Street. And our fifth museum is on a street a block away, which is our Ailing Coverlet Museum. Each of those museums are unique and different. I have been lucky enough to be the director since 2021. November 3rd is my anniversary, 2021. I worked here before as the assistant director, and before I was the assistant director, I was a volunteer. So there's been a long history with some of the other things that I do as a caretaker. And then it just kind of rolled into this position here.
The Historic Palmyra was founded in 1912, and I think it saved the Palmyra North Side from urban renewal demolition. Can you share the story of how these buildings were preserved and what makes them so significant to the Erie Canal history?
Our buildings, our main street is authentic. All of the buildings up there, with an exception of maybe two or three, are from the 1800s. They are the original buildings. A lot of people think that just because you're on the Erie Canal makes you an Erie Canal town, and that is not true for Palmyra. Palmyra is known as the queen of canal towns because we were here, we were prospering, we were a thriving community before they even opened or dug the Erie Canal. Our section in Palmyra, we were using 3 years prior to the opening of the Erie Canal. So that makes us a little special. When urban renewal came through, a lot of the villages subscribed to this idea of, oh, we're going to be wealthy, we're going to have better buildings, we're going to have beautiful parking lots. In Palmyra, we had a very strong historical society. We had people who believed firmly in the preservation of history. When urban renewal tried to come through in the late 60s and 70s, those people said, no way. They held marches, and one of the wealthiest people in the village would march up and down the street with her fur coat on and a big sign. And it's because of them that we were able to save our main street and almost all of our buildings on Market Street.
That's great. There's so much history that was saved in that.
Very much, yes.
So, my next question, what was life like in Palmyra during the Golden Age, and how does your museum preserve that history?
One of the museums we have is our historical Palmyra Museum. The museum itself was an old hotel built in 1826 with an addition added in 1898. There were many hotels, taverns, and all kinds of different businesses here in Palmyra. One of the really interesting things that we like is that everything in our building is donated from people in and around Palmyra. So we have a lot of the significant photographs and what was the main street like back in the 1800s. We can show you, we have photographs. A lot of our very influential people, John M. Jones was one of our printers. He had a foundry where he made his own printing presses and paper cutters, and we still have those today in our print shop. So it's history like that kind of keeps everybody on their toes. And if you ever need a reminder of what it was like, we can show you. Palmyra was very prosperous. We had more people living here in the 1800s than Rochester did at the time. We had our own bank, we had our own currency. So for us, when people said, "Oh, I want to go explore the West," they came to Palmyra, and we were pretty much about as west and as wild as it would get. So we were pretty lucky that way.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So let's talk about William Phelps General Store. It was built, believe, in 1826. Julius Phelps abruptly closed the store in, I think, July of 1940, and it remained untouched until 1976. What did you find when the building was finally opened?
In 1976, Julius's daughter, Sibyl, passed away, and she was the last family member to live there. They ran the general store from 1868 until 1940. And at that time, we really don't fully understand what Julius was thinking. We know he was older, he was up there in his years. He was worried about World War II. And one day he just said, "This is it, I'm done." And he literally went upstairs and he said to his daughter, "Here's my store. I will give it to you for $1." And she said, "No, I don't want it." The next morning, he got up, walked down the stairs, walked right past the store, and never went back in again. So when Sybil passed away in 1976, there was no one left to take over the building. And so it actually sat vacant for a few years before we took it over. The village was looking at possibly tearing it down. Thankfully, we already had a few museums under our belt. And one of the members of the museum said, "Let's go check it out. Maybe there's something there." They went in, and even though there were layers and layers of dust and dirt and, oh gosh, you can only imagine what it
Yeah.
was like. They saw the big picture, and the big picture is what we have today. The original products are still on the shelves. We have eggs from 1940, from when he closed the doors, because they didn't go back in. They didn't eat any of the food, they didn't drink any of the beverages. Everything is still there. So
Like,
it was a no brainer. It was a no
yeah,
brainer.
it's like it was trapped in time almost.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sibyl Phelps is perhaps the most fascinating of your spirits, I think. Can you tell us about who she was in life? I know that she had some dreams of being a musician or actress, I believe. And what brought her back to Palmyra?
Well, she never really left for any significant amount of time. She was born and raised here. She was born in 1895, and she went to the local elementary school. She graduated from the high school here in Palmyra. And after she graduated, she went to the Eastman School of Music in Rochester. From there, she went to New York City. And while she was in New York City, she attended an acting school specifically for young female actresses. That's where the story takes a sad turn because the school needed money and Sybil needed money. She wrote home to her father, and this would have been about 1920, and wrote home to him and said, "Hey, Dad, I need money. The school needs money. I want to stay." And he wrote back and said, "No, no money." But he told her I will give you two choices. And her choices were to come home and get married or to come home and get a job. She chose to come home and get a job. She did not work in the store, which is probably why she didn't want it later in her life. She actually worked for a monument or headstone company. She helped to sell monuments, and it was right up the street from her home and the store. And she worked there all the rest of her life until she was probably about 75 years old. She never really learned how to cook or clean. She's going to kill me for this, for saying this, but because she always thought she would be famous. And so she just assumed she would have staff to do that for her. We're her staff, so we do it for her. And she is quite famous. So she did meet her aspirations. A couple weeks ago, we celebrated her 130th birthday. We were very happy to do it. She showed up in true Sibyl fashion. We actually had a seance with 10 people, and she was so amazing. She moved the table for us. We have a
Wow.
16-second video clip. We caught it on video. Thank goodness for security cameras. It was amazing. It was totally unexpected. She never likes her birthday to be celebrated, but for whatever reason, she was there and it was fantastic.
Sybil was a devoted spiritualist who deliberately created spirit portals by placing mirrors facing each other.
Yeah.
She also owned a crystal ball and conducted seances. Maybe
Mhm.
that's why she showed up. She likes the seances. Um,
Probably. Yes. And she was the star of the show.
she was the
So
star. Yeah.
there you
So,
go.
how intentional do you think she was about maintaining her presence even after her death in the building?
I honestly, and it is just my opinion, but
Yeah.
I believe that she knew what she was doing. I really do, because she was a spiritualist. Her family was not. They were not spiritualists by any means. They were Episcopalian. When she came home from New York City, she dropped that bomb on her family and said, "Oh, by the way, I'm not going to church with you anymore because I'm a spiritualist," which was fine. They probably had a good cry about it for a little while because it wasn't something that they were familiar with, but they loved her. And they were a family that really supported each other. I think in the end, it was okay. But she does have mirrors in her home that are set up, one right across from the other, one side of the room to the other, that were her portals. She has them in the dining room and in the parlors. And she does have a crystal ball that is at her seance table. She loved numerology. That was her passion. So if she heard a birth date or any kind of a date, it would just start clicking in her head, 1 + 2 plus this. That was just her passion. The fact that she saved everything from her parents' bedding to her grandparents' clothes, magazines, mail, and things that normally we would just look at and then toss. She saved everything. And a lot of it was because she knew someday her parents would be back. She would be back. She never changed the furniture. She never moved the furniture because she wanted her family to be comfortable when they came home. So that's how we honor her today. We don't bring anything in that didn't belong to them. We don't move the furniture unless we have to, and then we put it right back where it belongs. We treat it very much as if it is still their home. So that's how we treat it. I walk in the morning, I greet her, I leave in the afternoon, and I say goodnight. It's like she never has left.
Very nice. Now, I know you said that for her birthday, she moved the table, but what kind of paranormal activity have you and your staff experienced that you attribute to Sybil? I know I've read about full body apparitions and has told one of the staff, "Don't touch my stuff."
You can only imagine his shock. I won't call him out. He's a big guy. He was in the Marines. He's been to Afghanistan and Saudi Arabia. He's a tough guy. He volunteers for us on occasions. And we had asked him to go over to the Phelps to grab something. I believe it was in her room. And her room is on the third floor. So he went over and up 2 flights of stairs. He wasn't even gone 3 minutes. And he was back in here. His face was white. He was sweating profusely. And we're like, what happened? What's wrong? And he said, don't ever ask me to go over there by myself again. And we were like, okay, what happened? And he said, I got up there. I went to grab something off her bed, and she was standing right there. And she said, don't touch my stuff. And he didn't miss, he missed every single step going down, every step. He just said, I turned, I ran, I'm here. And to this day, he will not go down there by himself. He will not go down. So she has a way with the gentleman. I've seen her a few times. Sometimes she'll play the piano. That is very rare. I feel like that takes a lot of energy for her to do that. Her family is there. We hear footsteps, shadows, hear everyday normal paranormal activity happens over there. I think that it happens so often that we don't even notice it. Or we notice
Oh,
it. We're just like, oh, yeah, that's Julius, or oh,
it's
that's
just another
grandpa.
day.
But then when something does happen, like our table moving, I'm the first one to go, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Yes, I can. But at the moment, it took me by surprise.
Yeah. Sybil lived without electricity, I believe, and did indoor plumbing, from what I think I read.
They never had electricity from 1826 until 1976. The museums put it in. We put in a bathroom, but they use gas lighting and kerosene. The gas lighting is still there. It is not connected, but
You can still see it. I think I read this.
some of the local children thought she was a witch because when her father died, he was the last one. So there was no family home with her. It was just her. And she mourned him. She mourned her family, and she wore black. She mumbled to herself. And sometimes the children would see her walking down the sidewalk and they would cross over to the other side. But I don't think anybody was rude, because I think they were a little scared. If,
Probably.
oh my goodness, if we give her the side eye, she's going to give us the evil eye or something like that. But it definitely was not the case. She was not a witch.
Yeah. How does understanding her kind of isolated life help you understand her spirit's presence today?
I think when you stop and think about like why she did the things she did, I think you get a better understanding of her and you can look at her in a different light. One of the things people would say, oh, we used to bring her food, but if she didn't like it, she just gave it away or dumped it in the trash. Actually, what she did is she fed the 15 cats that she had in her home. So
Oh,
if she liked the food, she would eat it. If she didn't like it, then the cats got an extra treat because they were a package deal. She was very timely. They say that every day at 4 o'clock, she left the house and would go up to the Main Street Diner for dinner. So you could set your watch by her. She was very intentional. And if she didn't like something, she was vocal about it. But for the most part, people just tried to understand her. But wearing black all the time didn't help her.
that probably didn't help her reputation. I think moving on to the Palmyra Historical Museum houses one of the probably the most heartbreaking stories, the Breeden family fire, December 20th, 1964. Can you walk us through what happened that night?
Sure. So, our historical museum that is here now was actually moved to this spot. We used to be about a block away, but obviously they were going to tear this building down. And so, when we purchased it, we were told we had to move it. This plot on 132 Market Street was available. So, that's where we came. It was quite a while ago. Our previous director, Bonnie, was here, and she would sit in the back and she would go through some old files. And as she would go through the files, she started to hear things, and not just your normal building is settling creaks and groans. She was hearing, children crying or laughing or running and things like that. And then we were able to figure that out. In 1964, there were rental homes on this property. And there was a family living here, Anna and Paul Breeden. Anna was 25 and they had 6 children. Eddie was their oldest child. He was 9. And Samuel was the youngest. He was the baby and he was 2. In between, we had Dennis and Mitchell, Sharon and Susan. It was December 20th, 1964. Anna had put all of the children to bed. Paul was out of town. He was looking for another job. They were going to relocate wherever the new job was. Somewhere between midnight and 3 a.m., a fire broke out in the house. The firemen said that it was very hot. It was fast and furious. They believed that accelerant was involved. Unfortunately for Anna and the 6 children, they were unable to make it out of the house. And so they all died in the fire. Anna and 4 of the children were found by the back door. They had almost made it out. Sam and Eddie, the oldest and youngest, they were found together. And at first, it was very difficult to find the 2 boys. The firemen actually thought that maybe they had gotten out, which would have been fantastic. But when they went back in to search the areas that they needed to search again, they did find them. They said they were so dehydrated from the fire. They looked like dolls. They thought they were dolls. So, yeah,
Truly a sad story.
yeah.
So the current building is where that house was? Is
That
that
is correct. Yes.
okay?
Their basement is in our basement. We
Oh,
built over their basement. So if you go down into our basement, you will see the remains of the fire.
oh, very nice.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify because I thought that's what you had said. Have you recorded any children playing or anything from your security cameras or anything
Oh
like
gosh.
that?
We have 2 rooms upstairs. One is the children's room, one is a doll room. But they both have dolls. So be aware if you're coming here, you're going to see dolls. Okay. We have a bassinet full of Annabelles. We'll just get that right out. Except here we call them Raggedy Ann and Andy. We had a couple of investigators here. I think one of them was a board member and there was nothing going on. And he basically said, "Hey, do you mind if we just go mess around at the historical museum?" And nobody, as long as you're respectful, we're good with it. So he had come in and they set a camera up in the children's room. And it was like from one doorway to another. On a bookshelf, we have a bunch of blocks that are all on the top. And if you look at some of our shelves, if they're against the wall, they're tilted back because the last thing we want is for our shelves to fall over. So a lot of them are tilted back. These guys were downstairs. They had no idea what was going on up there and they heard a noise. They came up and there were blocks everywhere. They were in the hallway, they were on the floor. So they grabbed the camera, brought it down, and they played it back. And they caught a paranormal hide and seek. It is the greatest video. It's fun. You can see the curtain at the window. It pulls out and stays and then goes back. And it does
Oh,
it about 4 or 5 times. And then all of a sudden, the blocks at the top make a slight movement and then they all fall off. And no one is in the room. The guys were downstairs, and the look on his face when he got up there holding a block in the middle of the hallway, he was just flabbergasted. And the best part was he's very much a skeptic. He's always trying to prove, how did this happen? It's science. And it was so funny. And even the next day, Bonnie and I had come in and we tried to recreate it. And when you watch the video, it's almost like you had a little kid hiding behind the curtain because the curtain moves and then they go back. And it's almost like he got scared and ran into the bookshelf and it went flying. It's one of those once in a lifetime videos that you get. And I'm really lucky that we have it. We're pretty blessed that way.
that's great. Do you happen to have it on the website or is it available?
I'm not sure where it is.
Oh,
I think it might be on our Facebook page. Anybody can ask, and we post it every once in a while. Usually December, my ghost story will post the story about the children. So we get a little more, hey, show us the videos around
yeah,
that time.
yeah.
Right now, everybody's focused on the table tipping, but I could send it to you and you can upload it.
Okay, maybe I can add it in interview.
Sure, why not?
You answered my next question because I was going to ask about the hide and seek. But is there any other memorable encounters that you've had with the Breeden children?
I have had to reprimand Eddie a few times. We have a rule that we have a safe room, like our reception area. So when guests walk in, the last thing, we don't want people who don't want to know anything about our spirits getting harassed by our spirits. So in our reception area, it is the safe room. And we always tell people it's safe to eat, safe to drink, and safe to just hang out. The light always stays on during investigations and no one will bother you. But there were a few times where Eddie would, for whatever reason, go in the bathroom and turn the water on. I would leave on a Thursday afternoon and not come back until Tuesday. We don't know how long the water was running because we don't have a camera in our bathroom. So we got to guess that this has been running all weekend. And like the first time it happened, I was like, oh gosh, we probably just left it running because it was cold. But then it happened again and again. And then one day I just said, Mary and Edward, you stay out of our bathroom. And that seemed to do it. I also did tell him I was going to tell his mother if he didn't behave, but he does have a habit of peeking around the corner because he's curious. But we've had him take things and hide keys in somebody else's purse. We've asked him to find things for us. He has a girlfriend named Rose. So we have quite a few spirits, and a lot of them we don't even know because we're an old hotel. So
Yeah,
for us,
yeah,
we're just like, oh, John, hey, welcome. Spending the night? What's going on? We don't discriminate. Hey, you
yeah.
want to come in? We'll welcome you. You be good to us. We're good to you.
Have the Breeden children been spotted in any of the other buildings, or do they just stay in the main one?
We used to think that they just stayed here. And it was probably maybe last year, last summer, we were doing an investigation at the Phelps. And there was a lady who was walking down the stairs and she stopped in the middle of the stairs. And I said, are you okay? Are you going to keep going? And she said, who are those two little girls? And I said, two little girls? I don't know. And then she said, never mind, they're gone. I was like, okay. When we got back over here to the historical museum, she saw the picture of the family and she said, those were the two little girls I saw. And I said, oh, those are the Breeden children. Must be they were visiting. So on occasion, Eddie is over there. We know the girls have been able to be over there. And I think a lot of it has to do with Sibyl. I think she welcomed them. She was here when the fire took place. So I think they feel safe with her.
Now, you mentioned a few other spirits. I read something about the Dark Man. About the Dark Man.
The dark man, the tall man, the shadow. He is at the very end of our 1826 section in the Historical Museum. And anybody that knows me knows that I do not go upstairs after 4 o'clock to the old section. I will go in, I will go upstairs, I will turn the light off. I don't look down there. I certainly don't go down there. If there's an investigation or anything, I stop at a certain point and I just tell them, this is what's down there. Have fun. There is a very dark, creepy shadow. Even the kids call him the tall man. He
No.
comes from the stairs, so he gets taller as he comes up, and he is just one big black mass of energy. And when I'm down there, I either want to scream or I want to run. 9 times out of 10, I want to run. I just want to get out of there. I don't ever want to be backed into a corner down there. If I got to move, I want to move. So I don't like going down there. We don't know who he is. There were a lot of men that went down those stairs head first. So he could be one of many. That section of the hotel, if you were drunk and disorderly, that was about as good as you got, was to be in the 1826 section. And when you see it, it does feel very small, very claustrophobic compared to the front of the museum where everything is bigger and grand and clean.
It seems like there's always one in a lot of locations. Um,
Lucky us. My theory is if I don't go down there, I don't see him. So,
he doesn't exist if you don't see him.
nope, not to me. He doesn't. And they know, like people that work here, they know. Some people don't go in the doll room, and I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to say, oh, come on, they're just dolls. No, because they're going to say, come on, it's just the stairs. No, he's down there. I don't like him. We're not friends.
Now, I think I also read that is there a ghost named Holly or a spirit named Holly?
Yes, we do have a spirit named Holly. She is over in Sibyl's house. She actually lived there before Sibyl. She came in 1836. It was a boarding house back in 1836. She was there with a couple of gentlemen who said they were her uncles. They were not blood related. We don't think anything good was coming out of that relationship. They did not treat her very nicely. They were maybe slightly abusive. We don't know 100%. But Holly does reside in one of the parlors. She has a table that is her safe space. And under the table, we have a whole basket of toys for her. And those are from our previous investigators who have interacted with her, and they just love her so much. They bring her toys the next time. But she is sweet. She is 6 years old. She has blonde, curly hair. Unfortunately, she was killed in front of the building. She was run over by a horse and wagon, and she passed in the parlor. But she is there. She will hold your hand. She will sit on your lap. She loves to interact with flashlights. She likes to turn them on and off. We're lucky to have her.
I read that it feels like cotton candy almost when she holds your hand.
It is a very strange sensation. It's
Mm.
just a slight touch. If you really get to know her, you can ask her to draw a circle or a triangle on your palm, and she'll do it. We've gotten her to roll balls before. We've tested her as to how old are you? Can you show us? And she will do it. She's really incredible. Yeah, she loves children her age. She loves like preteens and teenagers. Men, not so much. It takes a lot for her to trust men. And I think it was because of the relationship that she had with the gentleman that she was there with. But not to say that she doesn't interact with men, because she will. I think they say if a dog doesn't like you, there's something wrong. We always think Holly doesn't like you, there's something wrong.
Your security cameras have captured some great evidence. What's the most compelling footage they've captured? I know we talked a little bit about some of it they've captured, but
Yeah, boy. One of the most interesting pictures that I have usually happens on a Saturday or a Sunday. We do our investigations on Fridays and Saturday nights. So I'm usually here, but this, I believe it was a Sunday, and all of a sudden my phone was going crazy. And I looked at it and it said motion, police and fire room. And I'm like, nobody called to let me know they were coming, or this is weird. We had a bat one time, so I thought maybe the bat's flying. I don't know. So I didn't really look, and then it just kept motion. So I was like, all right, fine. So I looked, and our camera is up in the corner of our reception room, and then it goes through the doorway to look into the police and fire department room. I'm looking at it, and this was midday. I'm looking at this photo, and it is a silhouette of a woman with her hands like this, sitting on a chair,
well,
but it's all lit up like a spotlight was on her. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, this is nobody I know. So none of the board is there. No employee is there. What the heck is it? I took a screenshot of it and I have the screenshot. And it is, you blow it up and it looks like she's like this. And you can see her bun. You can see like she's wearing a dress, like a heavy coat with a skirt. And she's
Yeah.
sitting on a chair that does not exist.
Oh.
There's a
She
chair
just
there
wanted
now. It was the weirdest thing. After I acknowledged it, it was gone.
yeah.
Haven't seen it since. So,
You just
yeah,
wanted a little bit of attention.
I guess so. But on a Sunday, we only get
Um,
one day off. Send me an email.
the historic Palmyra has been listed as one of the seven most haunted places in New York State. And I think you've hosted over probably 4,000 ghost hunters. I've heard that you guarantee no one leaves disappointed.
Yeah, we try not to. There are a few of our investigators who love this place and we love them. And they will say, Palmyra brings you back. They're never disappointed. And I always give a shout out to all of our investigators who have been coming and supporting us for years. When COVID shut down a lot of places, our paranormal community got us through because we were shut
Nice.
down too. We couldn't do tours during the day, but we could have these groups come in at night because we have 5 buildings. They could
Yeah.
distance themselves. Our paranormal community, the people that we deal with are fantastic. I can't say there's not enough words in the English language to say thank you for all the support they give us.
Yeah. And if there's any paranormal investigators that haven't been there, what do most investigators experience during their visits?
I think a lot of the times they tend to get really good spirit box activity. We have some phenomenal EVPs that one of my friends, his name is Larry. I always say to him, you are the king of EVPs. That man could walk into a supermarket and get an EVP, an A EVP. I mean, he is incredible. But we get a lot of EVPs, we get a lot of K2 interaction, a lot of shadows. And I think it just runs from one end to another. If people like to gamble, we send them over to the Phelps on the 3rd floor. In one of the rooms, we have a gambler. His name is Jack, and he loves to play cards. He will play cards with you. You have to bet $1. If you win, you keep your dollar. And if he wins, he keeps your dollar. And then at the end of the month, I go and collect the rent. And let me tell you, sometimes it's 30, $40. He's really good. It's just, it depends on what are you looking for?
Yeah.
Chances are you're going to find it here, unless it's demons, because we don't have demons.
No D word.
No.
You have that grumpy dark man in the
We have grumpy, yes. Grumpy, yes. Yes. Creepy doctors, yes. We've got those. But yeah, no D words. Sorry. Yeah.
So the historic Palmyra has been featured on the travel channels Kindred Spirits, My Ghost Story on A&E, and of course Matthew Ryan Conrackey's Dark Echoes. How do
Yes.
you Yes. How do you balance maintaining historical integrity while embracing your reputation as a paranormal hotspot?
Ugh, that is a great question. It's not easy, I'll tell you. We try to think museums by day, paranormal at night. And we always try to be very respectful to anybody who walks in here, whether you believe it or not. We're going to treat you the same. We do not talk about our spirits to museum visitors unless they say something. So if you were to come in and we're talking history, and then all of a sudden you say, do you think it's haunted? To me, you're saying in a subtle way, it's okay to talk about this. I may say, sure, what do you want to know? But if you say, I'm coming for, I want to hear about your spirits, I want to hear about this, then that's what you're going to get with the history, of course. We've had a lot of investigators who come back just for the history, which is great. And then we get a lot of people who come back for the paranormal, which is fantastic. But at the end of the day, my job is to keep 5 museums open. And we don't rely on any government funding, which right now is not a bad thing. A lot of museums are struggling. And to say that we don't struggle, that wouldn't be true. We do struggle. Last year, our gas and heating bills were $25,000, which was, we're not looking forward to this year. We just turned the heat on, but we will do whatever it takes to keep these museums open because it's important. The history is important. It's not just local or state, it's country, it's everything. It's America, our history. And if we throw in a little paranormal stuff here and there, that's even better. You're getting the best of all worlds. We just try to be respectful. And if somebody says, I don't want to know about it, that's fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah. I know you touched on it, but how does the paranormal tourism help fund your historical preservation work?
I think they keep us going. They really keep us going, which is great because they are coming in and they're renting museums. When they come for a ghost hunt, it's like you are allowing us to stay open another day. Our 4-hour ghost hunts are $300 for 6 people. It's $50 a person. We've been told we're probably one of the cheapest ones around. We haven't raised our prices in a while. That $300 is an electric bill for us. That is a water bill. So it keeps us going. It keeps our buildings going. We can't just turn the heat off and not heat a building. Our collection has to stay stable. And that helps our buildings stay stable. We charge admissions for regular tours, $20 a person. For investigators to come in. You're getting 2 buildings and you get 4 hours to pretty much do whatever you want
Yeah.
within reason. We do have waivers.
As someone who works with the spirits daily, it sounds like you have a pretty good relationship with the majority of them. Do you feel they're protective of the history you're preserving?
I think so because we're telling their story. Sibyl wanted to be famous. Sibyl is famous. If you said, what do you mean you have an Erie Canal Depot as a museum? What's that? And if I say Sibyl Phelps, oh, I know Sibyl Phelps. I know all about her. We are telling her story every single day. And when the investigators come, they're learning about the Breedens. They pick up on names, and sometimes we can put the names with a portrait on the wall. So it's that combination of you're learning new things, but you're also learning the history. And by our spirits being here and interacting, it keeps them going too. Nobody's going to forget Sibyl when she moves a table. Nobody's going to forget the Breeden children if one of them tugs at your shirt. Yeah, I think they're a little protective. We are very protective of them. If there is even the slightest bit of disrespect, you do not get invited back. We don't tolerate provoking. We don't want anybody sending anyone into the light or binding or whatever people do. My feeling is if they want to leave, they can leave. They can leave anytime. And will we be sad? Absolutely. But we're not going to say, no, you can't go. Are you crazy? Get back up there in that closet. We just wouldn't do that because that's not fair. We treat them just like you would anybody else. Not everybody sees them, but to the ones that, that do, it's just like anybody else. This is their home. And the goal is to keep them in their home.
Yeah. For listeners who might want to visit the historic Palmyra or participate in a paranormal investigation, what should they know before they come?
You have to call us. You can call me or email me. We do have a calendar that is online, that is view only. It is not for booking. So if someone looks at the calendar and they're like, oh, geez, there's no Friday or Saturday open, just give us a call because chances are it's a date that has been closed off for a reason, one reason or another. Sometimes we get cancellations. People get sick and can't make it. We do require a $60 non-refundable deposit. that goes towards your final pricing. If you've got 6 people, it's $300 and you give me $60 down, you're going to pay $240 when you show up. But you can bring your own equipment, you can borrow ours, you get 2 buildings. If it's really nice out, sometimes we even open up another building. Sometimes we get really big groups. We have 5 buildings. Some are just more active than others. So we're happy to do that. But yeah, you just give us a call and we got you. We'll take care of you.
And lastly, what do you hope people take away from experiencing these museums, both the history side and the hauntings?
So, definitely the history side. I think as a historian and the caretaker of the collections, you want to make sure that people really respect the history and understand the history and know that history is important. And it's something that it takes a few seconds to learn, it stays with you. On the paranormal side, I want people to understand that what on TV or YouTube or whatever, that it's not always and you should never judge a book by its cover. I can't promise you that every time we get a paranormal investigator in here that it's going to be active, that these guys are going to be jumping off the walls and doing things to produce the activity. I can't guarantee it. I can tell you that 9 times out of 10, no one walks away disappointed. But with that being said, we're not a TV show. When you come here, everything is in real time. Where with the TV shows, they've been there for a week. We learned that with Kindred Spirits and doing taps and other shows that they don't just walk in and do something for an hour and then walk away with all this evidence. It just doesn't work that way. So I think don't just believe what you on TV. Come in and experience it for yourself. Come in with an open mind and good vibes. And I think you will be pleasantly surprised.
Tracy, I thank you for taking us through the halls of the historic Palmyra tonight.
Thank you.
These stories from Sybil to the Breeden children remind us that the most powerful hauntings come from the real human tragedy. And everyone, if you're in Palmyra area or planning to visit a trip to the Finger Lakes region, the historical Palmyra is located in Palmyra, New York, and you can find them online at the historic palmyrany.com and just go on there, as Tracy had said, and check out that and plan a trip there. Just remember, history books close, but sometimes stories refuse to end. Keep exploring the shadows, and I'll see you next Saturday.